ride, teach, inspire. This is the Dropping Next podcast, brought to you by the Canadian Association of Snowboard Instructors. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dropping Next podcast. I'm Rob Whalen, and I'll be hosting this next episode with Geneviève Pilotto. We have an awesome episode on deck for you here today. We've got Cody Ratcliffe joining us, and we'll be digging into his story with snowboarding a little bit, and ultimately landing on the crux of our episode and the main topic that we're going to discuss, which is teaching internationally and working with some of our international course providers. So with that, Jen is actually going to be doing a little bit of double duty as host as well as guest, because she's also got pretty vast experience teaching and working in different countries around the world. So lots of cool insights that'll come out of this one. Excited to jump into it. Before we do, I'm going to introduce our guest, Cody Ratcliffe. For those of you out there who don't know who he is, he's a level 4 with CASI, level 3 evaluator, and has been working back-to-back seasons in Canada and China chasing snow, banking about 150 plus days a year. We'll get into this. I think that number's wrong. He spent his teens and early 20s competing in parallel GS and slalom, and a number of those years chasing fist points with the Canadian national team. Eventually hung up the hard boots and moved out to Big White and taught there for a number of seasons, ultimately landing back in Quebec, where he was born and raised in the Laurentians. Dabbled a little bit in real estate, but has ultimately found his full-time work with snowboarding. Evaluator of the Year 2 times, 2020 and 2023 in the Quebec and Atlantic region. I like to call him the unofficial mayor of Mont Tremblant. Cody Ratcliffe, welcome to Dropping Next.
Happy to be here.
Nice. So, hey, Jen, sorry, I didn't give you a chance to jump in and say hello to the guests.
Hello, everybody.
There we go. It's official. So jumping right into it here, I thought it'd be interesting to start off with a little bit of your story and your background in snowboarding, which, like I said, born and raised in the Laurentians. So I'm guessing your parents had you on skis at an early age. Kind of take us through that, just to give us a little background about your journey and how you ended up where you are.
Yeah, born and raised in Tremblant, kind of ski bum family. Parents met as a ski instructor and ski patrol. Was on skis, as soon as I could walk. Transitioned into snowboarding because it looked like a lot of fun when I think it was grade 3. After watching the 98 Olympics, when snowboarding got introduced, I watched JCJ compete, and it looked like a lot of fun. So, as you mentioned, I switched into the hard boot realm for a while. Did that for the time Quebec team and the national team for 3 years. Retired at the end of the 08-09 season. Was kind of not sure what I was going to do next with my life. Was a little adrift. And an old friend of mine who was a CASI evaluator and everything took me out for a beer and just went, I think you need to go into this route with me. And convinced me to start doing my CASI stuff. And quickly really started enjoying that side of it. Progressed through my levels, started evaluating, ended up, as you said, I ended up out west for some time at Big White, which was great, and then decided to come back home. East, as you said, Tremblant was my home. It's where my heart will always be. So I wanted to come back. And then, I've just been evaluating and instructing since then. And still love doing it. Still love spending time out on snow.
Well, you're in a space with people who feel the same way, so that's pretty sweet. We get where you're coming from. You mentioned somebody sort of pulled you under your wing there early on and kind of encouraged you to go the CASI route after your career in snowboard racing. Who was that?
It's Alistair Greenfield. He used to be the head of snowboarding for Ski Gap, and so I was getting. Some people had said, hey, you should come and coach. And comically, I said I didn't want to be on the road anymore. So I thought instructing would be a good way to just stay home. That's slightly changed nowadays, but and so he pulled me in, and I fell in love with it. Worked with him at Ski Gap for some time, and then just just really enjoyed the instructing aspect of it. Really got enjoying helping people progress in a different way than coaching.
Nice. Well, it's funny. I had to laugh when you said you wanted to start teaching so that you weren't on the road so much. I think you're pretty much on the road full time. Even when you're back in Canada, you're back and forth between areas of Quebec and Ontario, racking the miles up on your truck, and then racking up air miles too, going back and forth to China. So as I said in the intro, we're going to dig into what it's like to work internationally. It's a big part of what we do at CASI. And I'm going to get Jen to sort of describe, well, I guess what an international course provider is and what our relationship at CASI is with those organizations.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, we work with varied international course providers in different countries, and providers are like CASI partners. Basically, they're independent. They sign contract with CASI, so they have our authorization to run our programs, and part of their duties is to ensure that those programs are run in the best quality possible, of course, and that's where like we have a very tight relationship, continuous discussion with the providers, but also with the evaluators. We'll touch on that a little bit later in the show, more about the evaluators going abroad. But the course provider are responsible to hire those evaluators that we recommend, that are authorized to go and deliver those programs. So quality of delivery is a big thing. So no matter if the program is delivered internationally or nationally in Canada, our programs are the same. Those we offer them. It's the same content. It's the same land. It's the same. Those are the same program. In some cases, for the international course providers, they might choose to offer some pre-camp and stuff that are kind of preparation towards our program. But it's important to know that the consistency of the program are the same, whether we talk about the evaluation standards or the course presentation, because they hire the evaluators that are trained to teach those programs in the same way anywhere. A bit of rambling here, Rob. Did
no,
you please bring me back on track?
We're here to ramble. That's what this is all about. So we're the Canadian Association of Snowboard Instructors. So what are we doing teaching in Korea, China, Japan, etc.?
Why not? You know, like teaching programs internationally is a good opportunity where there's demand. We're there to support, we're there to help. There's some countries that might need a bit of a different system, or not necessarily need, but want to have a bit of a different system underground. So it's an opportunity for us to offer and provide to this demand. And we, in our CASI mission, we tend to see snowboarding, globally and as a whole. And our mission is to constantly improve the snowboarding industry. So working towards that, it just makes sense that we're abroad offering our programs.
I think it's so cool how highly regarded we are around the world. That speaks to our system quite highly.
Yeah, definitely. I think like being at Interski once, and also like chatting with lots of people around the world, and also like with people like Cody being abroad, like our system is accessible. Like if you think about, we're one of the only system that have 4 levels of certification of instructors. So our level 1 is very accessible. So that does help people to become an instructor and also decide if they want to pursue their journey in the instruction world. So that's one of the reasons why there's lots of people interested into CASI. Wow. And of course, because of the quality of our product and our content. We've been doing that for a long time now, and then we've been updating and constantly improving our content, and we're at a point where our product is in a very strong place, and that definitely contributes to the training the best instructors out there.
Hell yeah. I forgot to mention this before, but well, this might change in the final rendering of the episode. But for those of you watching this in video format, Cody's video is a little pixelated. So hopefully it gets fixed on the back end. But the reason for that is because Cody's actually in China right now. So who knows? I don't know what the signal's like out there. Maybe that's affecting things. But if his audio gets funky or his video gets a little weird, that's why, because he's putting in hours and working for us over in China right now. So with that, kind of segues into the next question of how long have you been at this international bit?
I went to Andorra in the start of the 2022 season, or 22-23. And then later that year, I ended up just happenstance I was available to go, end up going to China for the first time in the spring of 23. Through 23, did a whole bunch of work, took some time off from going for almost a year. And then now I've been at this point, spending a lot of time here in the last couple of years. Kind of spending half the season, upwards of probably 7 months, 8 months, going back and forth from Canada and China for work until the winter starts in Canada.
I know that when you're over there and our other evaluators are over there, you're typically there for what, like 6 to 8 weeks at a time?
There's one individual who does China, Japan, Rusty, but most of us come in for 6-7 weeks at a time, and then we head home or maybe go somewhere else. Like last year, I did a batch of 6 weeks, and then I went on vacation. My girlfriend came and met me, and we went and spent time in Hong Kong and Taiwan, and then I came back in and did another batch.
Yeah, on that note, if I can jump in here, that's for us, that's important that evaluators have like breaks between the courses, and also, of course, like the course provider bringing an evaluator abroad. It's hard to bring them only for a week with with the cost of like just the visa, the expenses, like to get there, and just the travel time. So it has to be worth it. So those are some of the things that we're looking, we're asking the ICPs to control and ensure that they are also bringing like a variety of evaluators. It's not always easy to have many different people, because you need to be available for a certain period of time to fly over there. But it kind of brings me back, like something you said, Cody, as well, brings me back to a little bit of the previous question about why we're teaching international courses. There's also one of the reasons why is we're also providing opportunities for our evaluators, right? Those are good, something that evaluators, people becoming evaluators can aspire to eventually go and teach a few courses abroad. Like we definitely need our evaluator on our Canadian ground, but it's a good perk and encouragement to be able to at some point do, let's say, a trip in China or a trip in Japan and teaching some of our projects. I think like the evaluators that are enjoying this are really proud of representing our association abroad.
Okay, cool. So we have a good fix on where you've worked and where you started. And I think that would be kind of interested to dig into what your experience has been like working abroad.
It's always been a lot of fun because you get to meet a lot of different people and just see how much people love snowboarding all around the world. It's also been really fun, especially in these China trips. We've on our days off going and visiting different places. In Chengdu, I got to go see the pandas. Going to just different temples and getting to experience lots of different food and different parts of the culture of wherever I am. Especially in a country like China that's so culturally diverse that each place you go, you get to experience kind of a whole new world.
Yeah, that's really cool. And generally, you're there with some Canadian colleagues who are also over there doing the same thing, right? So you get to kind of travel around with them and kind of share that experience.
Yeah, sometimes we're on our own. Sometimes I'll be just solo, and sometimes we'll be one or two or a group. Like right now, we're a big crew. What's really fun about it is I've gotten to meet a lot of different evaluators from different parts of the country and the world, and people I may otherwise not have met before. And we get to have a lot of really fun kind of snowboard chats and CASI chats, talking about how we approach the same material, but in our own way with different experiences from different parts of the world.
And that's just got to build everybody's skill set, simultaneously, which is like a really cool side benefit for CASI.
Yeah, like I've been able to learn a lot just by exactly having those chats with those guys and girls who have such different experiences from different places. And sometimes, you got nothing else to do because we don't always speak the language, and we can just socialize. And you put evaluators together anywhere, we're kind of going to come back to the same subject.
Yeah.
Well, you
No
must
work
you
talk.
must
Yeah,
know
right.
you must know a little bit of Mandarin now.
Yeah, I got my little words, and I got a couple of jokes that I can tell, and I can use in course in Mandarin, and I can get by on certain things, but it's still such a like tonally hard language for me to try to grasp sometimes. The slight tonal change can be such a completely different.
Like I said earlier on, you work domestically in Canada a fair amount as well. How do you prioritize and sort of balance your two seasons? So
I
both
try to
domestically and international.
prioritize back home. Like I try to prioritize my Canadian winter. Like base everything around my being available for what Jen needs me to do. Like especially with
Or
evaluating the
Luke.
level
Or
3
Luke.
stuff. Or Luke, yeah, like or James, right?
Exactly.
Like with the level
Or
3
Adam.
stuff, yeah, whoever needs me, wherever I need to go, right? I try to prioritize to make sure I'm available to help make sure the level 3 stuff's running now that I'm in that realm. Also, I love being on the road, but I also like being home. So I just try to make sure I'm home for kind of end of November, start of December, and I hit the road March 27th. Finished my last set of exams on the Sunday and was on a plane on the Friday.
No rest for the wicked. Well, it's cool that you have the opportunity to work in the domes, because that makes it a little easier, I would imagine, to balance the two seasons. I know you're outside currently at the end of March and into April in China, but won't be long before you're inside, hey, for most of the summer?
Yeah, so I'll finish up. I've got 12 more days here on snow. And then, yeah, I'll head back. I'll head into the indoors for the rest of the summer until kind of November. And then we'll spend some time in the mountains. November, bit of December until I then come back for Canadian winter.
What are some of the resorts, like what's your sort of lineup, different resorts that you're outside and then the different domes that you're in? I just feel like this might be an interesting one for people to.
Well, this year, I spent the summer doing mostly Guangzhou, and then I was fortunate enough to get to go run the second course. Well, it'd be one of the two first courses in Shenzhen, which is it's the largest dome in the world. It just opened last fall, and did that, and then was up in Beidahu and Lake Sangwau, which is in the northeast of China. And then right now I'm in Kikatohai, which is in the super far northwest of China. Right, I'm up by basically the top of the mountain. You look north, there's Russia. We look to our left, there's Kazakhstan, and we look to our right, there's Mongolia. So,
How long does it take to travel there again, Cody? You told me before.
this trip was 52 hours door to door to get here. So, yeah, it was it Montreal, Vancouver, Seoul, Shanghai, overnight in Shanghai, a 5-hour flight to Alatai Airport, and then a 4-hour drive to here.
Yeah, that's quite of a journey.
Yeah.
I heard it's worth it with the landscape and the vibe over there.
Yeah, it looks like a painting. Like it's absolutely beautiful. And we're right on the edge of, I don't remember the name of this, but it's a huge desert area. So like driving from the airport, it's remarkable in its vast kind of emptiness. Like it's beautiful in its own kind of way. And then all of a sudden you just drive into these beautiful mountains.
I have a question for you about enjoying in another way those beautiful mountains, because you're there to teach courses, of course, but you need some breaks and you need some day offs here and there, and I'm sure you're making the most of them, as you already mentioned, in terms of tourism. But what about snowboarding, joring over there? I heard it's a thing, riding behind horses and powder.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the opportunity to go. I really want to, but they do things here where you will go up with groups on horseback with your snowboard on your back up into the mountains. And you come down and your guide then brings the horses down. So we're joking, who needs a snowcat when you got some horses to get you around?
Oh man,
It's
the
awesome.
photojournalist in me is just like buzzing with excitement. I'm
I
like,
want to
oh my
go.
god, if you ever get to
Yeah.
do that, you better take amazing videos.
Uh, it's something I'm really hoping to try to get to.
Cool.
Nice. Well, that's
Well,
cool.
let us know when you do it. We'll invite you again to talk about that.
For sure.
So we're about halfway through the questions that I'd prepared, and usually what we'll do is what we call our palate cleanser, just a bit of a reset for the episode before we dive into our next set of questions. So I've got 3 little quickies here. Number 1, slush or groomers? I know the answer here, but I want to hear you.
My two loves. The start of the winter, all I care about is nice styrofoamy corduroy, but then I get really excited to just ride some slush in the spring. Like right now, it is prime spring conditions, and it's an absolute blast. So
Hell yeah, that answer
I'm gonna have to
surprises
go
me a little
groomer.
bit. I thought you were going to go directly to slush.
Oh, I'm having a lot of fun in the slush right now. It definitely, it's probably always gonna have my heart.
I think we can enjoy slush because we had all kinds of other conditions, or seasonality is important. Like what it wouldn't be a good season. Can you imagine an end of the season without slush? It's
Kind of
so
sad.
much fun,
Yeah.
but it would be weird to have slush at the start of the season.
Yeah,
For
that's not
example,
good.
this
We don't want that.
this winter, I had the opportunity to go to Korea mid season, and it was like springtime. It was 10 degrees, and we had, in some days it was 8, 10 degrees, and we had some slush midwinter. That kind of threw me off balance a little bit. I was like, oh wow, slush midwinter. That's new. That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, usually slush back here in Quebec midwinter means it's going to be rock hard bulletproof ice the next day, which is no one's favorite.
Yeah. That's when you wind down and you go, or you wait until the afternoon.
Yeah,
Or you just
exactly.
do eye turns, like eye turns until it gets slushy and you're good.
So I feel like the slush, a big part of it is the sun that comes with it. Just the nice, the warmth after maybe a nice cold winter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, true story. Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of sensory stuff going on there. Cool. Next question. And this one, I asked our friend and colleague, Dom Smith, for a guest question, and just slid perfectly into the palate cleansers. I know you're getting nervous now because
Now I'm excited.
I'm
Dom
getting
wants to
nervous now.
know. Dom wants to know your most interesting food experience.
It was actually it was my first day of my first trip. I came and I went with another evaluator, Sam, and went with some of his friends. Went for hot pot, which has become my favorite meal by far. Good spicy hot pot, but wasn't quite sure what I was kind of getting into. And next thing I know, I was having pig brain, intestines, stomach, and just kind of. So, and why not just go with it? Try every piece of food once and see what you like.
Nice. Well, good for you for being adventurous. I started to turn up my lip a little bit at some of those, and I saw myself in the video, and I better stop. Got to experience gotta experience the fullness. Yeah, I think that's cool. Good
Exactly.
for you.
You only live once. You got to try things.
Okay, third one, and this is a bit of a two-parter. I know you're a hat guy. What's your favorite CASI hat of all time?
I'm the beige 5-panel. I'm a 5-panel guy. So there's the beige 5-panel and the new one, the new black or gray ones has been kind of my favorite.
Nice, good choices. And then part two of this question, I went into, like, I've known you for a long time, Cody, but I did a bit of a deep dive into your social media to see if I could dig up any other questions. And I saw a number of photos of you wearing these like really wide brim hats. I don't know that. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know when you wear a hat like that. Educate the people.
I still wear them sometimes. They're just a bit harder to travel with. But it's almost like a nice fedora, almost kind of cowboy hatty, but a bit more styled out. I don't know. I always felt it was nice. My hair can get a little out of hand sometimes. It's pretty curly, so at a warm wedding, I'm always a fan of having a hat, and a baseball cap doesn't really fly or that
All
acceptable
right,
at a
so
wedding.
that's the formal headwear. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Now I have to go and seek for what you describe. I'm not too sure I visualize it, but
Yeah, maybe I'll have
yeah.
to pop a photo up onto the screen for the
Like
viewers.
That's
a
a good idea.
Stetson, like a Stetson kind of style, like flat, like all round hat.
Looking real classy. It's good. Let's move on to our last little block of questions here. And a fun one I thought would be to dig into a day in the life of teaching in the Dome.
The schedule, we stay the same schedule, but it just starts a bit later. The domes don't open until like 10, 11, like 10, 10:30ish. So most of the time I'll try, if we say like Guangzhou, I'll try to get up early, and try to go for a run before it hits like 35, 40 degrees out. Sneak that in, then go out and find some breakfast at a local restaurant or stall on the way. Walk over, try to have a coffee. Then we go into the dome and we'll run on snow till probably 1-ish. Then go back to the outside, which is always a bit of a shock to the system, and try to find some food in the mall or at a Watson's is always a bit of a good go for some good pre-made meals. Then get back in. And then afterwards, we tend to finish at about 5 each day. And then we head out. If there's a couple of us, maybe stop for a beer at a little grocery store nearby or a little pub or something if we can find one. And then just grab some food and chill out. It can be long. We try to be outside and get sun as much as we can, just because being indoors all day, you just want to get some fresh air and feel the vitamin D after being inside with no UV, no natural light all day.
Yeah, that must be a lot to adjust to. And what's like the temperature swing typically? Like, is it like -6? I think I heard in the Dome, pretty consistent.
Yeah, so it's -6 on the thermometer, but it's hugely humid in there. So think of like when you put your hand in a freezer, it's only like -3, but it's really cold. So it feels like it's like -20 in there. I dress the same way I dress in January in Toronto in the Dome. So we go from that to, like Guangzhou in the summer is +40 with crazy humidity. So it's a real up and down swing on the system. We walk in shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt, and then loading on multiple layers inside.
That's wild. Got to account for the extra time that's going to take for your lunch break.
Yeah.
Strip down, get dressed back up.
It's always a bit funny walking around the mall in snowboard boots when there's people walking around in like flip-flops and dresses and shorts and stuff, and you're moseying around in snow pants.
Talked a little bit about like the environmental factors teaching in the Dome. This next question kind of applies to any of your work overseas. What's it like working with a translator? How does that affect your delivery? How does that affect the course content and all that? Changes the length of the course?
With the translated courses, we add an extra day to it, just because it just takes that bit longer to communicate. Because I say something, I stop, my translator then has to say it, and it's that same way with any feedback or questioning conversation. Each translator is different. You kind of just feel the rhythm with them. You start feeling it. I found it's really helped my communication and my delivery on courses, because I've become really purposeful in how I communicate, because every extra word or thing can make it a bit more complicated for them. And you're thinking ahead a lot more, because you have that kind of stop to think before you then say the next sentence or batch. So you can be really deliberate. And I've really enjoyed how it's helped me develop as an evaluator.
That's really cool. We have the freedom here in Canada to ramble a little bit, which is not a good thing. So that's a really cool skill that you've been almost forced to develop. Then you can, I'm sure, bring that back to your English and French courses that you're delivering.
Yeah, you find ways of communicating in other ways as well. Like a lot of nonverbal, sometimes just providing feedback, a point and hey, can get the message across pretty well.
Yeah. Bend your ankles is easy to say without having to say anything, right? point and flex. Well, nice. Jen, it looked like you were kind of gearing up to add something there.
Well, it was just, I had the same experience as Cody, and I always tell the evaluators that, and it's the same in Canada, but this really working with translator forces you to stick to the need to know and avoid kind of the good to know parts, because you don't necessarily have the time. Like even in our regular courses, that's what we are proning and forcing our evaluator to do. But that, like, the context of the translation really forces you to apply this and make like each of your speaking additions or any words you're adding really needs to be valuable and add value to the content and the course presentation. So that's a cool skill that those evaluators working internationally can develop, for sure. Even if it's not translated courses, because there's the language barrier that even if they understand English, it would be their second language, and that's part of the challenges sometimes, like making sure to stay really concise so it's understood better.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking like, you can't confirm that what the translator is saying, or even the way it's being understood on the other end, is correct. So the more concise we can be, the more sure you're going to know that it's being delivered accurately, right? For consistency across the board.
But those are some of the conversation I had with evaluators, and what I experienced myself as well is you have to have like a good communication with the translator, like a good exchange, like constant exchange. But also you can pick up lots of the stuff by just watching. Like you'll see in the face of the candidates how they react and how they absorb the information, and what are they going to do next. If they start moving when they're supposed to start moving right away, that means that they understood. That's like a pretty basic example, but you'll see it. Like it's the same when you observe a practice of session or lesson from the outside. You can totally see if it's going well. Like you're picking up like more of the bigger picture, the flow of the lesson, like some of the stuff that you need to see also as an evaluator. So I think like that brings that highlights a lot of that experience.
Yeah, I was going to just add to that. There's a lot of nonverbal that you can pick up. I have some translators joke sometimes, like, "You sure you don't speak Mandarin?" Because I'll just be like, "No, okay, they did class management. That was safety. They're doing this." How do you know that? Because I can see it. I
You
can
can
visually
see
just
it. Yeah.
see what are they doing? How are they giving feedback? And the more time you spend, you start picking up phrasing. I know how long things should take and what things sound like. And I know a lot of what the skills, the competencies should set, like the words should sound like most of the time. So I can pick up a lot of what's happening without having to actually have it be relayed back.
That's really cool. So Jen, question for you, sort of bouncing off that last one, is a little bit more on like the cultural side of things, having taught in, well, you can list the countries you've taught in, and sort of what you've experienced in the way, um, well, in any sort of cultural way that is different than what we're used to seeing here in Canada.
Mhm. Well, I would say that definitely it's kind of linked to what we just said, but those cultural differences that we experience on courses are really enriching. Can I say that? They're rich for the experience, for both for the evaluators and the client. There's definitely always an exchange and any cultural exchanges, right? And they're also challenging at the meantime because it's it's good opportunities for the evaluator staff, especially to adapt to their clients, to their people in the group. So the jokes that they are probably doing in their mother language is not the same. It's not the same humor. It's not necessarily the exact same vibe, even though we're speaking one language that is snowboarding. To get the message across and be as fun or provide the same experience will require a little bit more of adaptability from the evaluators for sure. And I think that's part of the reason why it's a lot of our evaluators really like that experience. It would be the same really when you teach anywhere, like even in Canada, we have different people from different communities, ethnical communities that are taking our courses, and it does provide the same kind of adaptation from our evaluators. So yeah, I would say that speaking, kind of sum it up with the cultural differences, I would take it as it's very enriching for the people. I don't know, maybe Cody, you can add anything that you've experienced about this.
And what, like, it's, as you said really well there, like we're all just sharing the same culture of snowboarding. Like, everyone's there because they love
Mhm.
the ride. The snowboard culture in China is booming and everyone loves it. Every once in a while, there's little things like, referencing garland, right? Not everyone knows what a garland is. I couldn't remember what it was when we called it garland. Not the most Christmassy decoration kind of guy. So it's just maybe changing certain referencing for in that way to help understand and help communicate something. But most of the time we're standing sideways. So that's the shared culture.
Bouncing off the Garland example, we were talking offline before we started, and another one of the examples, Cody, that you gave was J-turns. I thought that one was really interesting because not every language has a J in it. So he said, okay, we're going to do a J-turns, but people don't know what that shape is. So kind of some ways to adapt that one.
Yeah. So like, exactly. Sometimes like I don't want to be someone to assume that, a lot of people here can read English, but I'm not going to make that assumption sometimes. So I'll use more of a fish hook and I'll use stairs for garland just to kind of help that visual and get that kind of idea across. Just like how with candidates sometimes, right? You got to change maybe how we phrase something or connect to something that they're comfortable with and understand already, whether it's a different sport or something. It's just finding that common reference point to help get the message.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about like defining that reference point through the course, and it might change from one group to the other. And again, it kind of can come back to what teaching is all about. It's always an exchange and a learning opportunity between the instructor and the groups.
So Cody, what would you say to an evaluator back here in Canada who's considering making the leap to teaching internationally?
I'd say do it. It's really rewarding. Get to meet a lot of different people. But I also say that this is true for all instructing, but just be open to be adaptable. Like, not everything's going to run on time. Chairlifts might not run when you think they're going to run. There's going to be maybe a lot of people. Like, it's just having to be adaptable. It's just being ready to change and flow with what's happening around you and just be open and prepared for that. But it's also, as I said, like it's really fun to see the different perspectives and just how much that shared passion is all around the world.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you just shared there is consistent with what we would deal with on a regular basis here in Canada, right? Like chairlifts don't run. What are you going to do? You got to, you know, bounce around and figure it out. So it sounds like probably that, but like on a higher level when you don't speak the language. But I guess you have a translator with you.
Yeah, well, you don't always have one, but yeah, it's being open to what's going on, and it's just there's just every country's gonna be different, and like we sit there and go, oh, that doesn't make sense to me, but a lot of things that we do back home don't make sense to them, to another country. So it's how do we just kind of go with it, and
Yeah.
getting frustrated isn't gonna fix a problem. So it's might as well take a breath and then, all right, what's next? How do I figure it out? Where do I go? What do I do? I'd say maybe be really prepared for class management because the domes can get a little hectic. A lot of people, but other than that, it's snowboarding.
Jen, so one of the many hats you wear is managing or selecting the team that travels abroad to teach courses. What are some of the things that you're looking for when you're assigning or giving people the green light to go and work internationally?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first thing Cody mentioned it, like adaptable. We're definitely looking for people that are adaptable. But what means to be adaptable is also being autonomous, independent, and liking to spend some time alone probably would be a good skill to have for evaluators. Uh, Especially Cody was mentioning like the length of time it took him to travel over there. So you need to figure out some of the things out of your way in your own way. And like, I mean, the ICPs are usually pretty good to support and provide everything that's necessary for the evaluators to travel. But as in any travel, you gotta like to travel and deal with some of the things that surprisingly happen, or the change in schedule, or like all of the things that comes with traveling. So I think like enjoying traveling would be a good one, and enjoying being away from home as well. It's not for everybody. Like there are some people that likes to be away for a long time, but it comes with challenges. So sometimes you kind of have to know that before you're going to work. It's like to work abroad. It's a professional skills for sure to maintain. Being trustworthy is a really big one. Trustworthy in terms of being consistent with the project and presenting the project in the way that would be presented in Canada. Like there's something to say, and we could say the same thing about working in remote areas of our country. When you work more remotely, you don't necessarily have all of the peers. It's not every time that you have many CASI peers around to either support but also watch and be there for you to help if in case you have any question. But also like respecting the program is a big thing, like not starting to get to do like your own little thing, and making sure that you're really representing CASI the way we're expecting our evaluators to be. So that's like a big one in terms of in my role. So yeah, those are the big qualities that I'm looking for. And also I would add on top of that, like being open to reach out when they need help is a quality for me. So they have people that they can speak to, that they refer on the first place when they work for an ICP, because they work for the ICP and they don't work for CASI, but they're representing CASI. So if there's something with the product or something with like the presentation, a challengers or something, they should be comfortable to reach out directly to us and get the support that they need. And that's a big one. And the evaluators over there, we have a pretty good system in place of communication where I feel that everybody is comfortable to reach out and get the support when they need it. So that's been pretty awesome.
Nice. And prerequisites. Do we want to dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, prerequisite, we're requiring evaluators to be level 2 evaluators so they have and experienced teaching level 2 courses in Canada, so they can have their name on the international list and they can be approved and then hired to teach for our different ICPs. With the association growing, we're also allowing evaluators to develop abroad. It's a bit of a different process for the apprenticeship program. They still have to apply to become an evaluator. They'll get mentoring, but they'll be allowed to develop, if they're not a level 2 evaluator, if they're starting their rookie process, they'll be allowed to develop under only one ICP. And those are the things that they need to plan for it. We have a good it's a bit of a case by case. Like we have like a good development plan in place. We speak with the ICP. We make sure that they get the mentor supports that's required to be trained properly. So there could be level 1 evaluators teaching for one ICP, but in this case, they're not allowed to go and teach to other ICPs until they become like experienced level 2 evaluators, similar as in Canada. There's less people doing that because there's it takes a little bit more steps and time. So most of the evaluators develop in Canada first.
So we're on the home stretch here. Just a few more questions, and we've dug into the harder hitting ones, and we'll kind of lighten it up as we cruise to the finish line here. What's your favorite part of the program, Cody?
I touched on it a bit before, but one of my favorite parts is just getting to meet different evaluators and different people kind of all over the place. I've gotten to meet some pretty interesting people, whether it's other evaluators. I've gotten to meet also just different individuals in different places I've been. Like in Guangzhou, I've met a Welsh school teacher who's been in China for 20 plus years teaching English. But then also, again, I keep going back to it, but just showing how much people love snowboarding here and the Stoke. But also something that I find really interesting here is just kind of, it's a bit strange to say, but the freedom of kind of different styles that everyone has. Like whether it's fashion choices, like all the suits in different brands, it's always really awesome to see such different kind of like ideas. And then kind of the love for all sorts of different carving. And I don't know if you've ever seen online the ground trick stuff where guys are doing like flat land 5s and 7s, like popping in the air and spinning a 7. It's some of the most impressive stuff I've ever seen on a snowboard.
Well, that's cool. So you've really broadened your network, and I mean, this is what travel is all about, right? Just seeing what people are doing around the world and their take on something that we hold really close to our hearts here in Canada, but seeing it done differently. That's a really unique opportunity that you get to have by doing what you're doing. So that's really rad.
I feel that, like, to this question, my favorite part of the program is that it makes the world feels very, very small in a way. Snowboarding culture is has connected us to like the other parts of the world in a way where I like if I reflect back on when I was a teenager or student and like thinking about my future and what I was going to do and stuff, like, leaving, traveling in Europe for a year seemed a lot bigger than it is right now. And I know, like, I'm not teaching anybody here, like we all know that, but it's like a very tangible way in our professional industry to realize that like, like I'm friend with people all over the world, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so rad. Snowboarding, bringing people together. Cody, I mentioned in your intro that you're doing 150 plus days a season. But I was scrolling Instagram this morning, and there's something that you often do is put in your number, your tally for the season, and it was 140 today. So I think my number's wrong. You're gonna clear 150, no problem.
Yeah, I had 140 today. And I was thinking about it. I was looking at kind of my schedule for the rest of this trip, and I think I'm going to hit about 170, 175 days this year.
Okay, well, I wasn't so far off then. What is the start of your calendar? When do you start counting?
So I struggled with that for a little while. And yeah, I base it off of the CASI reset day of June 1st.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Pay your dues June 1st, and that's when your season
Exactly.
starts.
I'm like, well, I guess that's what it starts. 'Cause it doesn't really stop for me at this point. So I just kind of went, all right, I guess this is where my start point's going to be, because I got asked how many days I did in season. And I don't know when to consider the start of the season.
Hey, don't you miss the summer sometimes? When like you were born in a country when there's 4 seasons with like big seasonal change throughout the year, and I know like back to back season, I know you're coming back and you're leaving, so you have a bit of that balance, but is that enough for you? Like sometimes it must be hard. It must be one of the challenges you face.
Yeah, there's definitely challenges. Like I missed fall this year completely, which I love. Um, but like we still get the summer months pretty hot. But when I'm home, I really try to just take advantage of being home. So since I leave and work really hard for a period of time, then when I get home, I just try to break. I just don't work, and I spend as much time outside on my bike, as much time swimming, trying to be outside and take advantage of every second I can while I'm home. It can be a challenge sometimes to be away for those long periods of time. But at the same time, I'm privileged enough to be able to do this and do what I love to do for a living full time. So
Hmm.
if the small price I pay is missing some seasons, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah, that's interesting. Missing fall completely. Like, it's such a dear season to Canadian snowboarders, right? Because you get like that's when the anticipation builds. You're starting to see a little snow on the ground. It's really exciting. Like the smell of the fallen leaves in the forest. Like it's a pretty special time of year. It's funny that you asked this question, Jen, because I added it to our list after I sent it to you already. And my question was going to be to Cody, what are you most looking forward to when you get back to Chomla this summer? But I'm going to pivot the question a little bit because you kind of already answered it. Um, we do a weekly Tuesday night ride in Tremblant called Modsy Bike, and I've spent a lot of time at those rides with Cody, and it usually happens, right after you get back from China. And I don't know how many times I've heard people ask you, "Oh, you just got back from China? How was that?" Do you ever get tired of telling that story, or have you figured out a way to like tell it quickly and move on?
Yeah, I've gotten a couple. It's my favorite one. Well, always makes me laugh. I get a lot of "How was Japan?" because everyone thinks I'm there, and I quite often have to correct. No, I was in China. But yeah, it's normally just kind of like it's more about, yeah, this time I was here and I got to do this really cool thing, whatever new adventure kind of field trip I figured out to
Hmm.
go on some of my days off. It's more of always referencing like what cool new little adventure I got.
Like paragliding?
Yeah, like I've had some pretty cool ones. I went paragliding in Chengdu. Last year I went and watched one of my best friends, an old college roommate. She works for World Athletics, and they were having a huge championship event in Guangzhou. Just happened to be there at the same time as me, so I went and watched and sat in the VIP with like top government officials. I had to go buy nice clothes that I don't really travel with dress pants and a dress shirt.
You don't travel with a suit and a
Yeah,
tie?
snowboard suit, different one. It's black, but it's not the same. Went on a crazy kind of water park adventure last year with Sam, another evaluator that's been out here. Um, Gone to Chinese amusement parks. What else we've done? Yeah, got to see the pandas as I referenced before. Like it's always just kind of trying to find what new thing I've heard about.
Hmm.
What's fun is since we're there for like 6 weeks, we don't just get that like tourist I'm here for a week experience. We kind of get really a bit more ingrained in what's going on around. Like some of the local restaurants near where I'll be staying, they'll be like, they know what I like to eat because they'll be like, they see me enough, or what's my coffee order, and you can start meeting people and hearing about, oh, there's this really cool market, you know, this place, or you can find these little adventures.
And so you have like a little bit of a routine outside of your your home base, and it becomes your home base for a little while. And I think that kind of ties back to liking to travel and being adaptable, because it sounds dreamy when you hear about it all, and it's definitely dreamy for a lot of people, but it's also challenging in other parts of life where it's well, we touch on the seasonality of things, but I'm sure it's not always easy on families and relationships and things like that. Like those are probably some of the challenges that you put in the balance before you make your yearly decisions. And not to get too deep into that because it's more personal, but I like those are some of the underlaying things with those working abroad decision, whether it's in snowboarding or anything else.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. My girlfriend, she's a saint for dealing with me sometimes for many reasons, but um, it's a discussion that her and I have, and it's it is tough sometimes being away, and missing things and missing birthdays and just being away. Yeah, I have to make a real conscious effort to ensure that we communicate and stay in touch and kind of keep, prioritize the strength of our relationship while I'm away. I'm also lucky I don't have kids. Um, but then as well, like we plan a lot of, I kind of schedule everything around, important dates. And like last year, the reason I missed fall was instead of coming home for a period of time, she flew out and she met me, and we spent a week in Hong Kong and 2 weeks in Taiwan. And our idea is to do something similar this year. We're trying to figure out when and where we go. I'm throwing around the idea of biking around Taiwan or doing some visiting around different parts of China.
It's amazing what a little simple thing like snowboarding, the world it can open up for you that you did not, I'm sure, foresee when you jumped on a board at the age of 9 or whatever you were.
Pretty lucky between competing and instructing. I've been able to visit a lot of the world and meet a lot of cool people and see a lot of cool places. Snowboarding's done a lot for me, and I'll always be grateful for what standing sideways has allowed me to do in my life.
Yeah, it just gives me a little bit of a shiver, and I say this a lot. Like, it's so cool when it extends beyond sport. I think we can all share this emotion that snowboarding is a bit of our way of life. It's attached to our identity. Snowboarding is the vehicle that gives us all these rich experiences in our lives, that we're so fortunate to be able to work in this industry full time, and in your case, travel a lot and see a lot of the world. And pretty amazing thing. Pretty awesome way to wrap up the podcast, I would say. Cody, what's next for you? You're in China for a little bit longer, and then you're headed back to Canada for a bit.
Yeah, we've got a couple more days here, running things up until basically when the mountain closes in 13 days, and then into Guangzhou for a couple weeks, and then come home for a month and a half, and then come back and kind of do that back and forth through the summer months until there's snow on the ground in Trauma, and start all over again.
And then repeat. Well, to our listeners, thank you again so much for tuning in and hearing another one of the stories from our diverse membership. It's been really cool to have you on board on this Dropping Next podcast endeavor that we're on. Be sure to drop us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. We do have an email address that we've been trying to get out there into the world, podcast@casi-acms.com. Anything you'd like to hear us talk about, any feedback on the show, be sure to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Cody, thanks so much. I know you got a birthday coming up. Happy birthday in advance. And thanks for coming on the show. Jen, thank you for having my back in the co-hosting seat. And
Thanks, Rob.
to everyone else, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Ciao.